What is going on, everybody? We have a frozen Cliffy on the screen. He might be in and out. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. They're having some issues. Surprisingly, my computer is not having issues for the first time in the history of computers in New Jersey, where I am. I've always had issues with my internet connection, and somehow my StreamYard is working. But thank you for joining us. We're back. I know Cliffy didn't have power. He still doesn't have power, but he is at a friend's house. I am not 100%. My throat is a bit wonky, so if I'm a little bit low energy, I apologize. I'll try to amp it up. I had some energy drinks for the first time in a year, so might be a little wired, but my throat is bothering me a little bit. Hopefully StreamYard gets their shit together and Cliffy can join us when he gets that fixed. But yeah. I appreciate all the support from you guys over the past weeks. I know a lot of you have reached out and truly appreciate it. We've had a bunch of conversions in our affiliate link. We will continue to send that stuff out. If you are interested in going premium, you can go through our link. We do have some pretty good deals on the site, which I will read to you guys in a bit. But tonight we have a 12-game slate, a big old slate. Of course, you know, DraftKings didn't do the best with the contest sizing. It is what it is. That's kind of why we are in the situation that we are, but nothing you can do except move forward and provide the best content that we can. But it is a fun 12-game slate. We have, you know, Matthews on the slate, McKinnon, we have McDavid, we have a whole bunch of big totals. We have Sharks, Coyotes as the late hammer. My God, this slate has everything. We probably should get into it. I don't know how I'm going to go through 12 games talking to myself. I guess some of my other personalities might pop up throughout the show, but one of them's hanging on the wall, the sombrero, but Marty Jones isn't starting tonight, so I don't know how much action the sombrero is going to get. Let's get into the slate before we do. Again, I appreciate all you guys' support over the past few weeks with the affiliate links, with the super chats. It means a lot. So, you know, I appreciate the support. We have our affiliate link, which I will drop in the chat if I have a second. It's also in the link in the description below. It supports us directly. It helps us, you know, continue to provide you the free content through the shows. Cliffy's article is always free to read. He does have an article up on Stokastic.com today. So if you want to head over to the NHL section, even if Cliffy doesn't, even if StreamYard doesn't figure it out for Cliffy, his article is free to read at Stokastic.com/NHL. I know he is the stats guru. I was not planning to go solo. I will try to provide you with as many Cliffy stats as I can. If you see me looking down, it is because I loaded the stats on the screen on my phone. If I put it up on my web browser, my internet will explode. So if I'm looking down like this, I'm looking at stats to give to you instead of my screen. Because again, if I did that, my internet would explode and you will be looking at a frozen picture of me while I talk to my dogs, basically. So let's get into this slate. The first game of the night, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs with a 3.7 total heading into Buffalo. The Sabres have a 3.2 total. Now, you're going to hear me say a lot. These guys don't have a lot of ownership. It is a 12-game slate, so I would probably cap heavy ownership around double digits, and there are a bunch actually on the slate, but you're going to hear a lot of like, oh, they're not getting too much, so like there's going to be a lot of lines that you can get between 3 and 7% tonight. So keep that in mind. Like if you want to play a chalky line, completely fine. But there's plenty of ways to differentiate. I don't have my YouTube up. So if someone wants to say in chat that they can actually hear me, that would be good. Oh, I see some people talking. So that's good. We are live. It does say live. I was actually able to get the stream live without Cliffy. That's a slight miracle. He is he produces. So we're really flying off the cuff here. Who knows what will happen? KJ can hear. I'm not sure. Him hearing me is the best, but caps are on the slate, so maybe we can be in pain together a little bit after that. So yeah, Toronto in Buffalo here. Looks like Jeff Skinner is back. So Buffalo going with Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck, Jeff Skinner, which is the line that they had at the beginning of the season. Then they're going Cousins, Paterka, Jack Quinn is back. Third line of Casey Middlestad, Zach Benson, Jordan Greenway. Like, this is a very good top nine. This is why I bet on them in the preseason. They got off to an awful start, had awful goaltending, awful defense, injuries, whatever. Leafs going with status quo here, and none of these lines are really getting ownership here. There are two lines getting 3.5% ownership, and it is both of the Toronto lines. It's interesting because, well, listen, Buffalo's goaltending has been really bad. Their penalty kill hasn't been great. So, Leafs definitely in play here, but, you're going to have to make a choice with these expensive lines. Toronto one is 21,900. They have been okay with Nyes up there. They haven't been great. 90-minute sample now. That is probably, 8 games at 5-on-5. 48% of the shot share. That's awful for a Matthews line. 2.89 expected goals for, 2.73 actual goals. So, that is by Matthews lines. That is actually terrible. Now, it is a very good matchup. They are going to see that Thompson, Tuck, and Skinner line, and they are pretty high event. They give up 14 high danger chances against per 60, 2.64 expected goals against per 60, 5.43 actual goals against, because the goaltending has been awful. So I think getting Toronto one here at 3.5%, completely fine. But again, if you want to play them, I think it's more of an MMA thing, because you have Edmonton one, you have Colorado one, you have New Jersey lines, you have a whole bunch of stuff. So the line hasn't been producing great numbers. It is a very good spot. Toronto 2, I think, is fine as well. They're going to get that the Cousins line. That line has been okay defensively, 2.38 expected goals against per 60. Again, not great goaltending behind him. So I think from a Toronto standpoint, I'll save the 4,600 and go to Tavares, Marner, and Bertuzzi. The more interesting side to me is the Buffalo side. Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck, and Jeff Skinner specifically, because they're only 19,500, and they are going to get that Matthews line, which is pretty high event. They're 12 high danger chances against per 60, almost 3 expected goals against per 60, and the Achilles heel of the Leafs is their goaltending. It is Ilya Samsonov tonight. But the big thing is Buffalo won 19,500. When this line was rolling last year, as long as Skinner plays, which, I think he's trending towards, he is a game time decision, but if he is in, this line has been 22,500, 23,000 at times last year. I think you can take a flyer at them, get it, as Cliffy would say, get in on the ground floor, 2.2% expected ownership. That this line, if they get rolling, will not be under 20,000 for much longer. So I will get in on the ground floor with Thompson, Tuck, and Skinner, as long as Skinner's in. Also, if you want to use, Cousins, Paterka, Quinn, or Middlestad, Benson as fillers, I think that's fine, especially if you are going to use Colorado one, which we'll talk about later. They cost more than half your salary on DraftKings, so you're going to have to definitely make a choice with them. But there are plenty of lines that fit with them. So for me, honestly, my favorite line in this game is Buffalo one, but I think the Leafs top 6 is also in play. So let's move on to the next game here. We have the St. Louis Blues with a 2.7 total heading into Florida. The Panthers have a 3.7 total, another 3.7 on the slate, tied for the highest with the Leafs. Listen, what are you going to do? The Blues are terrible. The thing is, they don't take a ton of penalties, but these 5-on-5 lines for the Panthers are very, very good. The Barkov line with Reinhart and Rodriguez, very, very good. So, there's not much you can say about them. They've been running lines over. The Kachuk line, very, very good with Bennett and Verhaeghe. That line is getting a lot of ownership. I see Cliffy trying to come back in. He looks fine until he connects to the screen. I can see you moving. Can't hear you, though. I'll keep talking. The highest top two stack percentage in this game is Florida 2 at almost 10%. They're coming in with a bit of negative leverage. They are 10.8% projected, but that isn't anything crazy. There are a lot worse negatively leveraged lines. I think this is a very, very good spot for that Bennett line. They're going to be seeing that Shen Neighbors Kapanen line, and that line is atrocious defensively. And that Florida second line, only 18,100. You only get 2 of the 3 guys on the top power play, but it's not a big deal. This isn't the best power play spot. This is a very, very good 5-on-5 spot. If you want to go to that Barkov line, I think that's completely fine. Barkov, Rodriguez, they're coming in with way less ownership, around 5%. They are going to see the St. Louis top line, who is a bit better defensively, but still nothing to write home about. And it is either Bennington or, worse in net. So, excuse me. My wife left her Stanley behind, so I wanted to see what the big deal is. I see all these ladies carrying Stanleys. Tastes like water. Yeah, we need to send some help for Cliffy. But yeah, this is a really good spot for the Florida top 6. You can power play stack, but again, the Blues don't take a ton of penalties. I would focus on the 5-on-5 lines. My preferred is Florida 2. You can go to Florida 1 if you're looking for a little bit lower ownership, but Florida 2 for me. On the Blues side, I don't have a ton of interest. If I was going to do anything, it would be that Thomas Kyrou Buchnevich line. Like, you have your 3 best players on the line, you play them. Buchnevich got benched in the third period the last game. This is a brutal matchup for them too, getting the Barkov line. So again, don't have a ton of interest in the Blues. You want to go to that second line for a filler, like a Saad Shen 2-man or Shen Kapanen 2-man in MME to fit in Colorado power play or Edmonton power play or something like that. It's fine. But I'm not going to sit here and say like I am focusing on the Blues in 1 to 3. Definitely more of an MME play for me. Let's move on to the next game. Here, Washington Capitals with a 3.1 total heading into Columbus. The Blue Jackets have a 3 total. This game sucks. If this game wasn't on the slate, I would be happy. But here we are. It is on the slate. The Capitals played last night. They beat the Islanders 3-2 in overtime on a Dylan Strome goal that maybe shouldn't have counted. They counted it. Whatever. Here we are. Another good matchup for Washington 1. It is I just completely lost my train of thought because someone was talking about Yetis. I don't know. Look at this thing. This thing is giant. It holds like 38 million ounces of water. Can hydrate in any cup, really. It doesn't keep it cold, whatever. Ovechkin hasn't scored in 14 games. He's shooting 4.8% on the season. I don't know. I don't know what his issue is. He does look old, does look a little bit slow. Looks a little bit lackadaisical on the defensive end, but he's always been like that his whole career. They are going to get that Fantilli line at 5-on-5, and that Fantilli line in a small sample, giving up 20 high danger chances against per 60 and over 4 expected goals per 60. So it is a very good matchup for Washington 1. They are back-to-back on the road, and they're like 18,100, the same price as Florida 2, and they're coming in negatively leveraged at 9.1% projected. I'd much rather play Florida 2 here than Washington 1. That being said, I think it's fine to have them in your MME portfolio. I don't know if you need to be over the field. You can come in at – this is one of those things like you come in at 10% of them. I think it's fine, 150 max, whatever. Like, this is a very, very good matchup. I think that is fine. I'm a notorious Caps fader. It is what it is. You like them tonight. There's plenty of reasons to like them. Back-to-back on the road with negative leverage on a 12-game slate does worry me a bit. Better not get your dengue fever on Mrs. Harris. First of all, Mrs. Harris got me sick, okay? Actually, I have 2 kids. One of them's in school. School nowadays is just a petri dish of ass. And then he's had a cold for like 6 weeks. Got my little man sick. Little man got the wife sick. The wife got me sick. I guess she's watching at work with your Stanley. Hydration. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Washington won. Like, if you like them, you play them. I have a bad bias against Washington. And like, it kind of feels weird to say until Ovechkin starts scoring, then I'll start playing him. If you want to get in on the ground floor, you can. But like, again, they're kind of negatively leveraged here. I think what you're going to see is a bunch of people use the Marchenko, Chinnikov, Voronkov line as a filler. They're 12,200, coming in at 4.1% projected and 0.7% top two stack. I would show the top stacks on my screen, but I don't know how to share my screen. And if I did, my computer would probably crash. So you're just going to have to take my word for it. The issue I have with this line is they're wildly outplaying their expected goals numbers in a 95-minute sample, not a very small sample. That is for them probably 10 games, 11, 12 games, 5-on-5. 1.8 expected goals for per 60, 3.76 actual goals for. They're on a shooting percentage heater. Marchenko's coming off a hat trick. That shit could advance to monkeypox. Yeah, I have some horse dewormer. I'll be fine. So yeah, so like, while you can theoretically ride that heater, I think it's fine. I wouldn't full stack that line. I think one-offing Marchenko is fine. I think two-manning him with Chinnikov is fine. I just worry that eventually, that shooting percentage is going to crash. It's hard to know how that affects a 12-game DFS slate from a micro perspective tonight. So yeah, you can ride the wave. Just know that they're going to be negatively leveraged and they're completely outplaying their expected goals metrics. So for me, like, I don't love a bunch from this game. I think this is an MME game. I think Columbus won. You can do an MME, Columbus 2. You can take bits and pieces. Washington 1's the interesting one. It is back-to-back on the road, but negative leverage in a really good spot. It does worry me a bit. I'd much rather play Florida 2. Nashville Predators with a 2.9 total heading into Philadelphia. The Flyers have a 3.1 total. Let me pull these games up on the screen so I know what I'm looking at here. Let me find it on here so I know what we're looking at here. Just bear with me. Here we go. Okay. It is a kind of a tough matchup. Giving Marchenko into the fire. Yeah. Listen, I think Marchenko, Cliffy will say it a bunch. I'll just make this point on Marchenko, that it was surprising that they kept him in the bottom 6 last year and they keep him off the top line here. When he watches the games, and I can confirm because I've watched them as well, he's probably their best forward right now. Like, not center, winger. So I'm fine with one-offing Marchenko. It's just like full stacking that line. It just gives me a little bit worrisome. But Predators, Flyers, top two, or the top lines for each other. Tough matchup. Both these top lines very, very good defensively, especially that Couturier line. 165-minute sample, 7 high danger chances against per 60, 1.68 expected goals against per 60. That is elite. That is one of the best defensive lines in the NHL. Way better than the league average. I don't have too much interest in Nashville 1. I don't have a ton of interest in the Flyers top line. Now, they are fully correlated on the power play, and the way you can take advantage of Nashville is their penalty kill is bad. The Flyers power play, not great. But for 15,400 coming in at 4.5% projected owned, I think you can take some stabs on Konechny, Couturier, Forrester. I much prefer them to the Nashville top line here tonight. They're $2,000 cheaper, have a double the top 2 sack percentage, and they are home, so they can dictate matchups. If you want to go to that Flyers third line, I think that is fine. The Tippett, Frost, Brink line, 11,700. I think, for a filler line, not getting a ton of ownership, I do like them. They're going to get the depth of Nashville here. And that Sissons, Parson, Trennan line is atrocious defensively. So I think, honestly, my favorite line in this game is Frost, Tippett, Bobby Brink. Now, I don't think you have to full stack them. I think, you can do a Brink Tippett 2-man. You can one-off Tippett. You know what I mean? So there are ways to use that line. I don't know if I will get to them in one lineup. I haven't decided what I'm doing with Colorado 1. I will talk to you guys about that for sure when we get to that game. But they are definitely one of the lines I would consider playing with Colorado 1 here tonight. So, yeah, from this game, don't love Nashville. I think if you are 150 maxing, you can have some of that top line just because they are a very, very good offensive line. But my favorite line in this game is that Tippett line. And I think you can definitely get to some Konechny, Couturier, Forrester in MME, even 20 max, like 1 or 2 of 20, I think is perfectly fine. As I said at the top of the show, thank you so much for all your support. We have a link in the description below, which is our affiliate link. If you are looking to go premium, you can click that link. You can use promo code NHL Strategy. It will get you 10% off the NHL product, but you should save that for later because we have promo code HOLIDAY for 25% off any product. So if you go through the affiliate link, if you are even looking for like an NFL Sims packages and you didn't want to pay the full price, you can get 25% off the Sims package using promo code HOLIDAY. I will drop the link in the chat right now, actually. So let me do that while I continue. So, like, again, ways to support us. Go through the link. You don't even have to sign up for hockey if you are already a member. You can do it for NBA. You can do it for NFL. This is a really good time to do it for NFL, actually, because there are games tonight. There are games Saturday. There are games Sunday. There are games Monday. So if you are interested in trying out the Sims, why not? Try it right now. I'm going to paste the link in the chat. There we go. Thank you so much for your support. It truly means a lot. It's been a bit overwhelming how much you guys have supported us after we gave you the news. So hopefully, we can continue doing all this fun stuff with you guys for free. Again, Cliffy's article, free to read, stochastic.com. Stanley, free to drink out of. Throat, bit scratchy. They don't know me, son. Here we are. Let's move on to the next game here. I know Cliffy was excited to talk about this game, but I'll talk about it for him. Montreal Canadiens with a 2.6 total heading into Minnesota. Those Wild have a 3.4 total. Now, there really isn't a matchup that concerns me on the Montreal side. It doesn't really matter who the Eriksson, Boldy, Kaprizov line goes out against. Looking at the ownership, 17.4% projected ownership on the Minnesota top line tonight. They are fully correlated on the top power play. So, this is one of the chalk spots with Colorado 1. Now, it is very justified. John Hines kind of sucks with his minutes, but he has been playing Joe Eriksson and Kaprizov about 20 minutes. Boldy's coming in around 17, 18 minutes a night, which is fine. You want him, ideally, you want to see him up around 19, 20. But Montreal, one of the worst penalty kills in the league. They have been taking less penalties since Arbor Jacki got sent to the minors, but still taking a bit above league average. So I think Kaprizov, Joe Eriksson, Boldy firmly in play is one of my favorite stacks of the night. Ownership agnostic. Now, playing chalk here tonight, completely fine. There are a ton of ways to differentiate. So if you love the Wild here, and I do, especially that top line, play them. The one thing I will say about if you're a single entry player, the best advice I can give you is play your best plays. I'm skipping games. Am I? Oh yeah, I am. I skipped 4 games. I'll revert back. Good call. Thank you, Jared. You must be shopping at Jared for some jewelry. But yeah, I will circle back. I scrolled too far down on my sheet. We will go back. But like I said, in single entry, yeah, me too. I just, I'm an NPC and I'm technologically impaired. So let me take a sip of water. So what I was saying was, in single entry, just play your best plays. There are so many ways to differentiate. Change up your D-man, change up your goalie. Don't go 4-3-1. So you can go 3-3-2. There's so many different ways to get different. I don't think you need to worry about ownership unless, the lineup is 4-3-1 and it fits too easily. So very much in on Minnesota 1. I think Minnesota 2 is okay, but they're coming in at 7%. They're going to be one of the more popular fillers, Hartman, Rossi, Marcus Foligno. Minutes a bit of concern, but at that price, it's kind of baked in. If you want to play, a Rossi Hartman 2-man, I think that's perfectly fine. Just be aware they are one of the more negatively leveraged lines here tonight. On the Montreal side, Spurgeon is out for the Wild again. Wild penalty kill, also atrocious. So I think there is definitely some merit to going to Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky here. More of an MME thing for me in 20 max. Pretty much it's very easy to go over the field at 1.9% projected ownership. So I don't mind taking some stabs on Montreal 1 here. But for me, this is a Minnesota game. Let's rewind to the earlier games and go to Carolina with a 3.4 total. Heading into Pittsburgh, the Penguins have a 3 total. Let me pull these games up here. Thank you, Jared, again, for reminding me. I would have just kept going and been like, why did this show take 12 minutes? Cap E says, my mom told me I'm a little different when I was a kid. Same. But I think, taking a nosedive off the top bunk of a bed at 3 years old into linoleum flooring was probably what happened to me. But anyway, interesting game here because this is a 6.5. It's going towards a 6.5. Rickard Rakell up with Gensel and Crosby. Malkin with Pustainen and Riley Smith. For Carolina, Aho, Jarvis, Nason. I don't know what Carolina's really doing with these lines. Like, the fourth line is Svechnikov, Teravainen, and Drury because they don't want to mess up the Stahl, Martinuk, Fast line. So the second line is Netchus, Kotkaniemi, and Bunting. Fourth line, Svechnikov, Teravainen, and Drury. What this tells me is that Rod the Bod isn't really going to play any of these lines outside of like Aho 18, 19 minutes. Every other line is probably going to see, 14 to 17 minutes. So it's a bit of a concern. I do, in a nutshell, like Aho, Jarvis, Stefan, Nason. They're going to get that Crosby matchup. And for as good as the Crosby line has been offensively, they have been giving up 2.9 expected goals against per 60 all season. Don't love the Pittsburgh goaltending. Don't love the Pittsburgh blue line. It's no secret there. So they're 15,500. They're coming in at 1.3% projected, which is kind of crazy because they have a 3.4 road total, which is massive. So I like Carolina 1 here. Aho, Jarvis, Nason. It's probably the best 5-on-5 matchup in the game. Obviously the bottom 6 for Pittsburgh isn't great, but, I just have minutes concerns for Drury, Teravainen, and Svechnikov. Minutes concerns for Kotkaniemi, Bunting, and Netchus. In a nutshell, I don't mind Teravainen, Svechnikov 2-man. Like, I think there's not going to be much ownership on them. I just, again, 14 to 17 minutes, could be less. I don't trust Rod to play those lines minutes besides the Aho line, so that's why I'm going to go to Aho, Jarvis, Nason. You got Aho and Jarvis on the top power play. Not that you really, stack against Pittsburgh for their, for the special teams, because Pittsburgh penalty kill is very, very good. But Aho, Jarvis, definitely the line for me. Now on the Pittsburgh side, it's a bit more interesting because I don't have a ton of interest in theory in Pittsburgh, but Carolina goaltending has been awful and they have a 3 total. So I don't mind going to that top line of Crosby, Gensel, Rakell. They're under 20,000, which is kind of crazy for that line. So I don't mind that. Would I rather play Pittsburgh 1 or Buffalo 1? I think I'd rather play Buffalo 1 as long as Skinner's in at that same price. But I don't think Pittsburgh 1 is a bad play just because Carolina goaltending's been atrocious. But, that's more of an MME thing. You want to go to that second line, Malkin, Pustine, and Riley Smith. I think that's fine as well. I don't mind them as a filler at 14-5. But again, stacking against Carolina, not a great idea. They're very good defensively. It's just their goaltending's awful. So I don't mind taking that stab in MME. Medicine Ball worked like a champ. My throat's still a little scratchy. But got to be here for the show. Got to power through. Dogs agree. Stanley agrees. We take a sip of water while King Bacon Pie goes and barks at nothing. Vegas, Golden Knights with a 3.2 total heading into Tampa Bay. The Lightning have a 3.2 as well. Don't really love this game despite the total. Okay. Kucherov, Point, Paul, 20,800. I think Kucherov's having an unbelievable season. I think Kucherov, a Kucherov one-off is completely fine here. But Vegas has been pretty good defensively. Even Stevenson has been a bit better recently. And I don't love that Nick Paul's on the top line. Don't love it. I think you can full stack them because they are fully correlated. Vegas doesn't take a ton of penalties and they have a good penalty kill. I think, Tampa Bay 1 is more of a MME portfolio thing. I think one-off and Kucherov is a nice play on this slate because we talk about the big guns, Matthews, McKinnon, Hughes. Yuri Patera's in that, but the Vegas goaltending they're all kind of the same, right? Hill, Thompson, Patera, 6 of one, half a dozen another. Now Patera is their fourth string goalie. And so I think, going to that Tampa top line is okay. If Hagel was up there, I'd be let's do it. Don't love Nick Paul in that spot. He really been dragging down the lines this season. I think one-off and Kucherov is fine. Like I was saying, we talk about the big guns, McKinnon, McDavid, Matthews, Hughes on the slate. We never say Kucherov's on the slate and he's been having an incredible season. So if you're going to one-off a McDavid, why wouldn't you consider one-offing Kucherov? You know what I mean? So I think one-off and Kucherov certainly fine. That second line for Tampa is kind of interesting. Cirelli, Hagel, Stamkos. Only 16,000 to full stack. Cirelli's kind of turned up his season a little bit, especially playing with Hagel. They're coming in at 1.1% projected, 1.6% top 2 stack. I think they're an interesting filler. You obviously can't fit them with Colorado 1, but you might be able to squeeze them in with a Toronto 1. If you punt defensemen, you can probably squeeze them in with some other expensive stuff like Buffalo 1. So I don't mind it. There's other lines that I kind of like better in that range, but Hagel, any line with Brandon Hagel on it, I'm kind of interested in. On the Vegas side, it's more of an MME game for me as well, and I would go to the Eichel, Stone, Barbashev line. Outside of Eichel, Stone, and Marchessault, this Vegas roster is pretty bad, right? There isn't a forward really over. Stevenson's had a terrible season. Now he's kind of turned it up. Carlson has slowed down. My boy, William Carrier is on the fourth line. So I don't love full stacking anything. I think you can do Eichel, Stone, Barbashev in MME, but again, don't truly love much from this game in single entry. I think one-off and Kucherov is fine. Two-manning him with Point, fine, but I'll probably, focus my single entry somewhere else. And a very important game coming up here. Excuse me, I need to take a sip of water. My throat is bothering me because I've been talking to myself and you guys for 40 minutes. Yes, Bacon. The Oilers game is coming up. Shut your mouth. Just shut it. Edmonton Oilers with a 3.4 total heading into New Jersey, the greatest state in the United States of America. The Devils have a 3.6 total. Very important game here. Both these goaltenders suck. Both these offenses, very high-powered. Now, I hate that Eric Halla is up with Toffoli and Hughes. Like, he's very good up there. He's had good numbers, but it's Eric Halla. Why can't it be Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt? So that Jesper Bratt's with Hischier and Palat, and now Timo Meier's on the third line with Mercer and Holtz. So, like, what do you do here? Right? I think you can power play stack. You go like Hughes, Toffoli, Hischier. Cliffy always talks about double center stacking. I think this is a good spot for the Devils to double center stack. Edmonton penalty kill, very bad. Edmonton defensively, very bad. Excuse me. So I think you can do something like Hughes, Toffoli, Hischier, Hughes, Hischier, Bratt, something like that. If you want a full stack, New Jersey 1 or New Jersey 2, I think that is fine. The more interesting thing to me is that no one's playing Edmonton, and it worries me a lot because there is heavy ownership on Minnesota. There's heavy ownership on Colorado. But McDavid, Hyman, Nugent, Hopkins coming in at 3.2% projected ownership. Devils goaltending is atrocious. I don't care that they're going to get even matched at 5-on-5 with Nico Hischier. This line's fully correlated. Their numbers are insane. Their expected goals numbers are closing in on 6 expected goals per 60 minutes, like 9 actual goals, something like outsane. It's so insane. It's outsane. 3.2% projected ownership, 13.4% top 2 stack. I think that is third or fourth in the top 2 stack. I'm very interested in McDavid, Hyman, Nugent, Hopkins. Like Akira Schmid in that. Like, even if it was Vitek Vanacek, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the New Jersey goaltending. They're bad. Like, I have a ton of interest in both sides of this game. I have a ton of interest in both sides of this game in single entry. So, like, can you game stack? You probably could, but on a 12-game slate, you probably can't fit too much. And you want to prioritize the power play guys here for both sides. So I think full stacking Edmonton 1 is my favorite play in this game. Also, I should mention there's no ownership on the Devils too. The Hughes line coming in at 2.8% projected ownership, 2.6% projected ownership on the Jesper Bratt line, Nico Hischier line. Like, if you're looking for low-owned, high total action here, this is your game. I lean a little bit towards the Edmonton side just because you take the best player in the game, and that's Connor McDavid, and his line is fully correlated. Now, if Jesper Bratt was on that top line instead of Halla, I think you can make a case for playing either of these top lines. But, like, okay, I think you power play stack the Devils, and I think you just go to Edmonton 1. If you want to add in, Draisaitl, I think that's fine. But yeah, I'm prioritizing all the power play guys in this game. The ownership is low. It is scaring me. I haven't built yet. And we'll get to Colorado in a minute because they're in a very good spot here. But their price is a concern. So I think I'm I'm going to be prioritizing this game in my single entry. Not 100% for sure. I haven't built yet, like I said. But both these blue lines bad. Both these goaltending. Both the goaltenders bad, so maybe the ownership comes up. Bacon's in on this game. He doesn't want to be quiet, but the Dogs' plays have generally been pretty good, so interested in this game heavily in single entry. Let's move on to the next one here. Vancouver Canucks with a 3 total. Heading into Dallas, the Stars have a 3.5 total. Andrei Kuzmenko, healthy scratch. That means Philip Hronek going to be on the power play again. Again, this is another one of those games where there's no ownership. And our boys, Matt Duchene, Mason Marchment, Tyler Seguin, one of my favorite fillers on the night here, coming in with under 1% projected ownership. That line has been so good all season. Excuse me. And they're getting, 15, 16, 17. Sometimes Duchene gets like 18, 19, 20 minutes. So why not just keep playing them? They're 13,900. Now, the power play time isn't great. And that's the one concern because Vancouver has a terrible penalty kill. So I think if there is ever a night for Dallas 1 to get the band back together and break open the slate, it could be tonight at 2.5% projected ownership, 19,100. Again, if we were talking about this line at this point last year, they were like 21,800, and they would be chalk tonight. But, the line has had concerns all season, minutes concerns. The power play hasn't looked great. But this is a very, very good power play spot. I think taking stabs on Robertson, Pavelski, Hintz is warranted here tonight. I think, they have a 3.5 total, one of the bigger totals on the slate, and there's not much ownership here again. So I think if you are fading the $20,000 lines, I think Dallas 1 is firmly in the mix for me, with the Florida lines, with some other lines a bit later. But again, Duchesne, Marchman, Sagan, probably my favorite filler line of the night. On the Vancouver side, no one's been playing Vancouver. I think, Miller, Besser, Hoglander would be the line I would go to. 0.2% projected ownership. I don't love them in single entry. I think they can be in your portfolio in MME, even in 20 max, but the more lineups you make, I think the more you can get to Vancouver. They have a 3 total. So, you go to Miller, Besser, Hoglander. Hoglander is probably the best third wheel that they've had all season between, Philip DiGiuseppe, Beauvillier. And, Hoglander has 10 goals on the season. You can leave him off if you want, but I think, if I was going to go to Vancouver, it would be that Miller, Besser, Hoglander line. You want to go to Pettersson, one off Pettersson, I think that's fine. You want to two-man him with Mikheyev, that's fine. Don't love Pia Suter up there, but, for me, Dallas 1, Dallas 2, Vancouver 2. Once again, promo code HOLIDAY for 25% off any product. Please go through the affiliate link I put in the chat if you want to do that. It supports us directly, gives me max copium. It helps me and Cliffy. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water there. Helps me and Cliffy bring you free stuff that you guys love. So, see 93 of you in here. I would appreciate that. There is that link that I put into the chat. It is up a bit, but if you scroll up, you will see it. I will drop it in again before the end of the show. Make sure to smash that like button like Vot says. Again, thank you so much for your support over the past week, 2 weeks. Continuing the support. There's still 100 of you here on this big slate, despite DraftKings dropping the ball on the GPPs, which is not surprising. But again, 25% off anything on the site with promo code HOLIDAY. If you're interested in NFL packages, NBA, hockey, get after it. We already talked about the Montreal game because I'm an NPC. So let's move on to the Ottawa Senators with a 3.0 total. Heading into Colorado, the Avs have a 3.6 total. Now, this is an important game. Colorado 1 has a 39.6% top 2 stack percentage. Current ownership projection, 17%. Massive positive leverage. Here's the issue I'm having. 25,100. 25,100 is more than half the salary you are allotted on DraftKings. Excuse me, I have to take another sip of water. So while this is a great spot, Ottawa takes a lot of penalties. Their penalty kill isn't great. I think Colorado's in a great, great spot here tonight. And what can you say about Colorado 1? They play well over 20 minutes. They're fully correlated. They're always expensive, but 25,100, more than half your salary cap on DraftKings. What do you really need from them to pay off that salary? Like, it's probably close to 80 DraftKings points, right? Can they get there? Absolutely. Are there filler lines that fit with them? Absolutely. But why play Colorado 1 when you can save 2,400 and play a fully correlated Connor McDavid line for a tenth of the ownership against the Devils goalies? Right? That's the conundrum I'm having. Is anyone worried about Cliffy? I have been talking to Cliffy every day. He lost power at his house. He lives in a town with like 3.5 people. So like they'll probably get to the power lines in 2027. But no, but what happened was he actually got power back the other night for like 25 minutes. And then he heard another transformer blow and the power went out. So he went to a friend's house today and was going to join me on the show, but StreamYard is having issues and it kicks him out of the stream. He is fine though. His beard was looking amazing. He should, you'd be like, damn, if you saw his beard. Damn. You'll see it hopefully tomorrow when they figure out StreamYard, or he gets power back and he can go back to his house. But yeah. What was I talking about? I was talking about Cliffy's beard. Threw me off track. Thing is a thing of beauty. This is about as good as a beard I can grow. Nothing in comparison to Cliffy's beard right now. But yeah, Colorado won. Can you play them? Sure. Great spot? Yes. You need at least 80 points for them to pay off. Can they do it? Yes. But at the same time, you can save 2,400 and play the Oilers. You can save 4,000 and play the Devils. Yeah, Salt and Pepper. The thing is a thing of beauty. I don't know how he's single. Probably because he lives in the town of 3.5 people. We need to get him into Ottawa. Need to get him into the States. Take him on like a Vegas bender or something, and get him a chica. That's going to be my goal. We're gonna go up there and fly him out to Vegas or something. I'll go knock on his door. I don't even know where he lives. Find him, put him in my car, go to Vegas. We'll figure something out. Salt and Pepper beard, great stuff. But yeah, you can save 4,000. You can save 3,000, play the Wild. You know what I mean? So if the Avs are 8%, yeah, Makar is a game time decision. Makar's I think the quote from Makar is we'll see. I think that's what he said. If Colorado 1 was not coming in at 17% ownership and they're coming in at 6% ownership, something like that, for example, I'd be like, yeah, that's a great contrarian spend up option. But when you have 17% ownership and you have the Devils, you have the Leafs, you have the Wild, you have the Oilers coming in with much less ownership for way less money, I think in my single entry, I'm going to fade Colorado 1 here tonight. Now, if you love Colorado, you play them, right? Massive top 2 stack percentage, very good spot against the Senators. But I'm just speaking off the cuff here. I think for them to pay off, you need an unbelievable amount. So do you want to rely on that? That's a personal choice. In MME, a lot easier to play them. In 1 to 3, I think you have decisions. And decisions are a good thing, right? If it was so easy, everyone would do it. And you'd see a lot of the same lineups. I think, with all these big options on the slate, I think it makes for a good slate. On the Ottawa side, low-owned Ottawa here is my favorite Ottawa, but not the best matchup here. And they're 20,000 on the road. I think, and I don't love Stützle, Tkachuk, Batherson. I like all 3 of those players. Don't get me wrong. But how they play together, not great. I would much prefer it to be Stützle, Tkachuk, Giroux. And then I would maybe consider them. I'm going to save them for another slate. I think you can go to Giroux, Norris, Tarasenko. I think Norris with the Giroux is the best case scenario for Norris. And, Norris avoiding the McKinnon line for the most part. McKinnon goes out against everybody. They'll see everybody. So I don't mind going to Norris, Giroux, Tarasenko because the Sens do have a 3 total. So for me, Colorado 1, Ottawa 2. But again, Colorado 1, wildly expensive. You're definitely going to have to make a choice on what you want to do. Let's get to these late night hammers, and my God, are they doozies. Let me take a sip of water. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Jeff Sanderson's kid on the blue line. Yeah, I like Jake Sanderson tonight. I will get to defensemen as soon as I get through these last 2 games. Sanderson is one of my favorite mid-range defensemen tonight. But yeah, let me talk about these last 2 games. We'll talk about defensemen. We'll talk about goalies. I'll make an atrocious hat trick pick that I haven't hit since Jonas Donskoy was on the Avs or something like that. So, yeah, pouring out for the homie Donskoy. Concussions out in his career. Hate to see it. Calgary Flames, they 3.3 total. Heading into Anaheim, Los Patos de Anaheim, the Ducks, have a 2.7 total. Let me pull this game up here. I have not seen news on the Duck skaters. I'm sure someone in chat will let me know if Zegras is back, but like the Ducks beat writers, almost non-existent. Not as bad as the Coyotes, but pretty bad. They're actually getting a little bit better, though. As awful as this sounds, I really like the Flames tonight, and they're all super cheap. The problem is they're all coming with negative leverage, right? Lindholm, Sharangovich, Mangiapane, 13-7, the full stack, 5.5% projected ownership. And I'll say all the Calgary lines have a 1 to 1.5% top 2 stack percentage. So just keep that in mind. Coleman, Backlund, Huberdeau, 5.7% projected. Kadri, Zari, Pospisil, 5.6% projected. Now, I think my favorite line here is Kadri, Zari, Pospisil. They are the cheapest of the three. Kadri and Zari on the top power play unit. This is a very, very good power play spot. Even my big dog plus money prop of the night is Nazem Kadri, power play point. And I hate myself for even doing it. No Zegras. Drysdale back. That's interesting because that might help them on the blue line a little bit. But as I was saying, the big dog plus money prop of the night, Kadri power play point. The Flames power play, atrocious. Like, they're atrocious. But the Ducks take, I think it's the most or the second most penalties per game, and their penalty kill is atrocious. You put those things together, it's so facto. Blah, blah, blah. Calgary power play goal. And I think you can go to Lindholm, Sharangovich, Mangiapane because Sharangovich and Lindholm on the top power play unit. But I prefer Kadri, Zari, Pospisil. They're 12,400. They fit with almost every line. I don't know if they fit with Colorado 1. You might have to punt some stuff. But so if you like Coleman, Backlund, Huberdeau, play them. But for me, my rankings would be the Kadri line, the Lindholm line, then the Coleman line. Now, on the flip side, Carlson, Terry, Killorn, 14,900, the most expensive line in this game, which is actually pretty funny. They're interesting for me in MME. Like, the Flames are a pretty good defensive team, but I just don't have faith in Calgary's goaltending. I think in MME, easily get over the field on the 0.8% projected ownership on Carlson, Terry, Killorn, fully correlated. Excuse me. I don't know if I'll get to them in 1 to 3. There are a ton of lines that I like for cheaper than the 14.9 on Carlson, Terry, Killorn, but they have looked good of late. So I think you can definitely play them in your MME portfolio. Let's get to the last game of the night. Why do we always have to talk about the Sharks last? And now it's against the Coyotes. Arizona Coyotes with a 3.3 total heading into San Jose. The Sharks with their biggest total of the season, 2.8. Now, I will say the Sharks actually have looked better of late. They're still a terrible team. Don't get me wrong. Now, one of the most negatively leveraged lines on the night is Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, Alex Kerfoot. Because they are fully correlated, they are 14,700 on DraftKings, and they're coming in at 12.3% projected ownership. Now, if you want to eat that chalk, I think that's fine because they are fully correlated, and it is a great power play spot. You're just going to have to decide, like, if you want to play, like, just for example, like Minnesota 1, Arizona 1. You know what I mean? Peter B. Neither of them are on FanDuel. That's why we are in this stupid situation. FanDuel has completely abandoned the NHL product. It is a joke. Like, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, it is insane. Like, Zari has been, and Pospisil have been on the team since October or even like early November. It is a joke. FanDuel is a joke. DraftKings not much better, but at least they have the player pool. What was I saying? I was saying very good power play spot for Arizona 1. I think you can go Keller, Schmaltz, Kerfoot. Just be aware if you go like Minnesota 1, Arizona 1, and goalie and defenseman fit in too easily. Just be aware. Might be duped, but again, if you're playing in small field stuff, you're playing like 1 to 3 in single entry stuff, it's fine, right? I also really like Arizona 2 here. Bukestad, Krause, Michelli, 13,500. They're only coming in with 4.2% projected, which is about like how they're always projected. And I think I just like that line better. 5-on-5 anyway. So I think you can stack them 5-on-5. They do get power play 2 time. Power play 1 does play about 65%, but power play 2 does see some time. I just can't wait for Hayton to come back because that is my like. Do I personally want to play a 12% over leverage line with Alex Kerfoot on it? No, but they are fully correlated. They are in a very good spot. So do with that information what you will. Bukestad, Krause, Michelli, my favorite line based off ownership on the Arizona side. The Sharks side is actually interesting, and they're coming in with negative leverage, which sucks because I'm kind of interested in the Sharks. Their power play has been surprisingly good at home. Hertl and Eklund have pretty good numbers together now. It is Philip Zadina up on that line. I like Zadina. I don't know if I'll full stack this line, but I think going Hertl Eklund as a 2-man. They're both on power play 1. Arizona takes a boatload of penalties. They have a pretty bad penalty kill. So I don't mind going to Hertl Eklund 2-man. I think Granlund, Zetterlund, Duclair is going to be a bit more popular. They're coming in at 5.3% projected ownership. But, you can play them. Admittedly, Granlund has looked pretty good. Me too, Sam. Says, wish there was a daily fantasy site that cared about NHL. Maybe I'll create one. I don't know. I probably won't. But I'll admit it. Granlund has looked pretty good. I just would rather play Hertl Eklund at a little bit lower ownership if I'm going to play over leveraged Sharks. I think San Jose 2 is fine. If you want to play them, the ownership isn't egregious. But for me, Hertl Eklund and Arizona 2 from this game. Holy moly, we have made it. That is the 12 games. Boom. Listen, I love you, buddy, but he's talking about like DraftKings, not RPS, not Stochastic, not Roto-Grinders. He's talking about DraftKings and FanDuel. But anyway, that is the 12-game slate. Let's talk a little bit about defensemen. Let me unlock my phone here so I can actually load up who is playing on this slate on the blue line. It's just easier this way because, again, if I put it up on my computer screen, my internet would crash. And we've made it this far. Once again, 98 of you in the chat. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate the support. For a solo show, Cliffy makes it look so easy. It is not easy. It is not easy. Let's talk a little bit about defensemen. If Cale Makar is in, I think he is in a very good spot, 8,100. Just be aware, he is the most expensive defenseman on the slate by $800 on DraftKings. And he might not play. But for that reason, he's going to get I think he's going to get low ownership because the game is a bit later. And if he is out, the most expensive defenseman after him is Mackenzie Weegar at 6,100. So unless you have a swap ready where like you have a later stuff starting with a cheaper winger and you drop down Makar and you upgrade the winger, I think his ownership is going to be pretty low. I do really like Makar if he's in. After him, Yossi and Quinn Hughes. I think I would much rather play Quinn Hughes than Yossi. I think Yossi's fine. It's just a tough matchup. Evan Bouchard, one of my favorite plays on the night. Rasmus Dahlin at 6,400. Very interested in him as well. Mackenzie Weegar, I think, is fine at that price. He has been playing, 21, 22, 23 minutes. I think he is fine. This is a good spot. Rasmus Anderson also in a good spot. Again, same team. He's been playing heavy minutes. He's been playing 24 to 27. So save a couple $100 by playing Rasmus there. Going down the list, excuse me, my voice is shot. Let me take a sip of my Stanley. If Makar is out, I think Devon Toews is a very good play at 5,300. Excuse me. I think Noah Hannafin also is fine for Calgary in the mid-range at 4,700. Mentioned Jake Sanderson a bit earlier. He's 4,600. He played 25 minutes the other night. I think Jake Sanderson is one of my favorite mid-range plays. I think Torrey Krug is okay. Excuse me. Let's get to the cheap guys. I think Mario Ferraro at 4,100 is fine as well. He plays, 23 to 25 minutes. Got to block a ton of shots. Crazy to see my boy Artem Zub at 4K. Brock Faber from Father Time, yes. I do really like Brock Faber here tonight. The thing is, and he is power play 1. Don't get me wrong. Here's the thing about Brock Faber. He's kind of, and this isn't the best comparison, but it is a comparison to actual hockey, to DFS hockey. Miro Heiskanen, unbelievable real-life hockey player, should be, in the Norris contention. Not the best for DFS. Brock Faber's kind of in that same scenario. Brock Faber is cheaper, though. Brock Faber is 3,800. He's been playing a ton of minutes. He's been playing, 3 of the last 4 games. He's played over 30 minutes. Just doesn't do much with that time. He's a very good hockey player. Not the best for DFS. But at those minutes, at 3,800, you absolutely take that. You know what I mean? So Brock Faber, 3,800 for sure. Yeah. Let's go to goalies. Sergei Bobrovsky, 8,500 top of the board. I just don't love paying up for goalies on DraftKings. Volume is king, and the cheap road dogs are usually the ones who see the volume. Now, this is a winnable game for the Flyers, or I always do that, for the Panthers for sure. So in cash, I think, Bobrovsky's fine. Gustafsson against Montreal, again, winnable game. Can play him in cash. You go down to the cheaper guys, right? Mackenzie Blackwood is interesting to me at 7,300. He's going to see some rubber for sure. He's been okay. You know what I mean? Devin Levi wasn't great the last game, but at 7,200, I think he's fine. Sam Montembeault, another interesting one. He's actually been pretty good for Montreal. Favorite puntee man. I didn't get to puntee man. I will get to that in 1 second. Then you keep going down. Joel Hofer. I don't love it, but he's going to see a ton of volume at 6,700. For a bit more expensive, I think UC Saros, 7,400. Thatcher Demko, 7,400. I even think Elvis Merzlikins is in a good spot against Washington at 7,500. If I had to spend up, and the spend up options aren't great, I think who's ever starting for Arizona is fine. Hopefully it's Ingram. I much prefer Ingram to Vejmelka, and I think Charlie Lindgren for Washington is fine. But honestly, I don't see myself spending up on goalie. There are a ton of cheap options. What about Nedeljkovic? I think he is also fine. Any goalie against Carolina is fine. As I always say about Carolina, come for the expected goal, stay for the shutout. There are a ton of goalies, 7,500 and under. $5 super chat from Father Time for the good game. Thank you so much for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. Hope you do well tonight. Let me get to that punt defenseman before I get to the hat trick picks. Let me scroll down. Listen, Marcus Patterson, 3,400. I know he's gotten a bad rap recently, but he does play 23 to 25 minutes. He has been more active on the peripherals, 3,400. I think that is fine. Excuse me. I have to scroll. It's not that I don't know who's playing. I just can't put it up on my screen, like I said. Jamie Drysdale being back is interesting at 3,200. Don't mind that. Alex Carrier, 3,100, I think is fine. John Marino, 3K. Dmitry Orlov, 3K. Jan Ruda for the Sharks at 2,900. He's been getting, 19 to 20 minutes at 2,900. Been blocking some shots. I don't mind that. Excuse me. Let me get a really, really cheap one for you. I think Timothy Liljegren is my favorite at 2,700. He's been playing since he came back. The 2 games he's played 20 and 21 minutes. He's blocked 10 shots in the past 2 games. Timothy Liljegren, my favorite punt defenseman of the night. So let's get to my hat trick pick. And I'm going to go. I don't know who I'm going to go. Since it's just me, should I do like a chalkier one or should I do spicy? What do you guys think? Just let me know. Just tell me spicy. Tell me chalky. Well, I take a sip of water because my throat is drier than the Sahara Desert. No one? No one? No one. Both. How about both? Okay. Izzy says both. That is a good idea. For my... It's not really chalkier, but like it's not spicy. You know what I mean? I'm going to go Zach Hyman. For my spicy, Mason Marchment. And he's my boy, but it's spicy. But yeah, hopefully Cliffy will be back tomorrow. We will be doing a show tomorrow on a 4-game slate because he will be traveling on Saturday for Christmas. I will be doing a solo show on Saturday as long as the contests are semi-decent. Like if they're atrocious, I won't be live. But I hope I did the solo show some justice. I don't think I did as good as Cliffy could do, but I took you through the 12 games. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you smashing that like button. I appreciate you going through the affiliate link if you are going premium. Good luck, everybody, tonight. I will be in the Discord taking some questions. As always, I'll be hanging out with you guys. Hopefully, we'll be up late sweating some big money for you guys, and we'll see you on Friday, which is tomorrow. Let me find the I'm going to keep talking for a second because I need to find the outro card so I just don't end the stream abruptly. But we'll see you tomorrow, and good luck, everybody.